this episode is pointless. Like, it's actually completely pointless. Like, there's no start or end goal. It's just an opinion that I have. And the opinion is that these days you can't have an opinion. I actually think this might be like a 5-minute episode, but I'm just going to talk and see what happens. But my opinion is, I'm just repeating myself, I'm sorry, that you can't have an opinion these days about anything. Well, you can, but everyone is educated. Actually, not everyone's educated, but a lot of people are educated on things. And a lot of people that do not agree with you on things are educated on why they don't agree with you. You know, like, there's two sides to every argument, yes. But it's like, the amount of times that I've made a podcast about something, and then like a week later, I see something that completely defiles every point I've made in my podcast. Like, completely shatters every argument I've made, every piece of evidence I've made, like everything. And I'm like, oh. And I don't delete it because I'm like, at the time, like a big reason like that I make podcasts is because it's more of a personal thing for me. Like, I don't really, so I don't market myself because I don't like care to blow up. I don't like, it doesn't, you know, it's more of like a personal self-tracker. It's just like a published shadow work journal, effectively. But quite often I've had people be like, I don't agree with that, or, you know, this is a bad take, or whatever it is. And I'm like, that's so fine. Like, I have no issue with people not agreeing with me. I actually quite like it when people don't agree with me. But there is something quite peculiar about when you feel so confident in your point and then someone says something that completely defiles it. You're like, fuck. What now? And what sparked this for me is, there's like a few things, and this is also not going to be a political episode, and I am going to lightly touch on some things that are political, but please don't take this as a token or whole world view of my political argument, because that would require its own episode, because there's a lot to cover. So, recent controversy, Earle made this video being like, it's not that deep, like, everyone just chill the fuck out about Sabrina Carpenter's album cover, because everyone was saying that Sabrina Carpenter's album cover was degrading to women, or like setting women back, whatever. And then Earle was like, it's not that deep. And then everyone was like, how can you say it's not that deep? There's literally a war going on and people are dying and all this stuff. And it's like, you know, I understand why people are saying, like, you're so ignorant and this or whatever, and ignorance is bliss, and you're so lucky you get to live in a world where you don't have to think things are deep because whatever. I get that. But it's like, I feel like there are so many times where something is posed and there's a sub-argument of that argument that is technically relevant, because I believe all arguments are relevant in any given context. However, it's hard to negate that what you were saying still stands when there's so many people being like, no, you know? Like, I think her point, and I'm not some kind of Earle defender, I really don't care, I'm not coming out here being like, justice for my girl. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about any of it. I care about the war, and I care about like women's rights, and I care about women's freedoms, but I don't care about the specific topics that I'm mentioning. It's just a case study. It's like, you know, you say something tongue-in-cheek. I say things tongue-in-cheek all the time. Like, you kind of just throw it out there. It's not that deep. Woo-woo, la-la. Like, life as a girl. Woohoo. Like, we love to throw that around. Oh, I'm just a girl. I don't know anything. Whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, but there's a war, and but there's this and there's that. And it's like, why are you talking about this? And why are you not talking about that? And why not? And like, I always feel really guilty when so much stuff is going on in the world at the minute, and like, I'm really, really trying to not get into this, because this is not what this episode is for, and I will make an episode separate to this. It's why I'm not going into specific details, because at the time that I'm making this episode, everything's uncertain. I don't want to speak on things that I don't have the knowledge about right now. I'm not just evading, I promise. But yeah, I'm always feeling like I'm not doing enough. Like, I always feel like I'm never doing enough. I'm never posting enough. I'm never you know, like, going to enough protests. I'm never, like, donating enough. I'm, like, you know, or I'm not knowledgeable enough and I don't know enough. And, like, I feel like this is the things, like, having an opinion on anything these days is consistently defiled by someone else who has a conflicting opinion. And I think, you know, maybe back in the day where, and I'm talking, like, back in the day, like, you know, in the 50s or something, before, you know, like, early stage globalization, where it was rare to come across that many people, you know, social media wasn't a thing, there wasn't this huge digital intertwining with reality. You know, if you had an opinion, it was typically quite similar to the opinion of those around you, or if it wasn't, there were only so many people in that area that could debate with you. Whereas now, you go online, you make an opinion, I make an opinion on a podcast, Alex Earle makes an opinion, Sabrina Carpenter makes an album cover, whatever the fuck it is. I'm not trying to compare myself to them either, it's just, you know, I don't know why I'm explaining myself, I don't need to do that. But it's like, you kind of have to come to terms with that no matter what you do, what you say, or how you, I don't know, whatever it is, there are going to be people that have a bias and things that are, they perceive more or less important or, you know, relevant right now, or they draw connections or parallels, or, you know, it's like, what's the word for it? Like pattern recognition, or like, it's like everyone is constantly being looked at under a microscope. Unless you're just like completely not online, or like have no friends, or don't go outside, or live in a very insular environment where like none of your social circle like holds you accountable for your actions. Because I think like a really big part of being like a person in this day and age is consistently being held accountable. And I think the thing is, you can say something wrong, or you can do something wrong, or you can whatever, and you can deal with it and grow from it and you know, not do it again. But I think the line for what is wrong has become so blurred. Like, it's not even really a line anymore, it's more of like a spectrum. Like, is it morally wrong? Is it socially wrong? You know, are you just not adhering to norms and stereotypes? Are you breaking stereotypes? Are you being progressive by breaking those stereotypes? Are you being radical in your approach, or are you being oppressive? Like, you know, it's like, which one is it? And I feel like this is why time is important, hence why I don't want to talk about the war in this episode, because time is important, and I don't want to say something in regards to that, even though it's relevant, because time will tell where, you know, where things are going to go. But I feel like it's only after, you know, I don't know, the passage of time, that amount of time is completely ambiguous and can be however long. But that passage of time is the only thing that's indicative of any kind of outcome, or any kind of concrete conclusion. Even then, I think concrete maybe isn't the right word, like, because nothing's ever really concrete. But, you know, like, I'm seeing all these videos at the minute about how Vivienne Westwood wasn't punk, and Vivienne Westwood's a fraud, and like, there's nothing punk about selling your clothes for thousands of pounds and whatever. And like, I always was consuming media that was very much like, Vivienne Westwood like revolutionized the punk scene, and you know, she went so against the grain, and she did so much for specifically menswear in terms of like bridging the gender gap in fashion. And I think a big part of feminism, like, a lot of people are saying she's anti-feminist, I think a big part of feminism is working with men as well as women, you know, like making things more normalized for men to access, you know, different prints or different jewelry types, or like, you know, stereotypically feminine silhouettes. Like, I think things like that bridge the gap for men to enter feminist conversations. So, you know, that was always the belief I held. And then I see all this media that's like, she's done this and that, whatever, she hates women. And it's like, I really feel like at the minute, it's like, you know, every opinion I have gets completely defiled after like a week. And it kind of makes me think sometimes, like, what's the point in even making a podcast? Because like, I'm telling you now, if I listen to a podcast of mine that is over a year old, I listen to it and I'm like, why did you think that? Don't get me wrong, like, some of the points I make, I think are very smart, and I actually think I'm, like, very well worded in a lot of my earlier podcasts, specifically because, like, mostly all of them were made not sober. I made most of them when I was really, really high. And I was also, like, 19 years old. So, you know, I think contextually, I think they're actually, like, really great pieces of work that represent where I was in that point of life. But no one on the internet knows that. No one on the internet knows me like that. They don't know these things about me, and they don't know where I was, what I was doing, or who I was surrounding myself with at that point. They don't know the struggles I had. They don't know anything. And it's like, anyone that listens to that old content would be like, damn, this bitch is a fucking idiot. Like, what is she on about? Like, I don't know. But for me, it's like, you know, a marker of growth. And I think this is why I continue to do it, because it's like, yeah, I may not agree with everything that I say 5 years down the line. Well, it's not been 5 years, but, you know, 3 years down the line, 4 years, whatever it's been. It's like indicative of my growth. And it's like having this thing that is solely for me is like, has been like a real, I don't know. I think it's revolutionized the way that I'm able to, like, go through life. I know that sounds really dramatic, but I used to struggle a lot with my communication, and I think having this outlet and a way to just be able to speak with no judgment, it has changed my ability to speak around people. Because, you know, when I speak into a phone in my room on my own, like, there's no one here judging me apart from maybe myself sometimes, and I'm able to carry that through into, you know, like, human interaction, which is really helpful. But I think the whole TikTok thing kind of, it's similar. It's a similar essence in the sense that you post it and, you know, when you make it, there's no one there. But obviously the comments section, I think, is cancerous a lot of times. Like, I've never left a hate comment. I don't leave hate comments. Like, I actually think one time I commented on one of my friend's ex-boyfriends who was, like, really horrible to her. He posted, like, a thirst trap, and I think I commented something like, that's mint, I'll post that. I think that's, like, the meanest thing I've ever posted, so sorry to him. Actually, I'm not sorry. He can fucking do one, but, yeah, I really don't, like, I don't see the point of it. But I think, like, it's hard when you see someone make content that you just blatantly disagree with, because I see it all the time. Like, I see someone, like, making, like, a completely misogynistic take or homophobic take, or you know, and it's specifically at the minute an Islamophobic take, and it's like, you know, there is part of me that wants to react, right? And I think a big part of, like, my development as a person has been, like, working on my reaction, or, like, my impulsiveness to react. And I think that a lot of social media just plays into your need to react or your want to react, and, like, it gives you such an easy way to do that, because typically it's anonymous, and if it's not, what are the consequences? Like, there's very rarely, you know, unless you're, like, in school and you're, like, 15 and you get reported, like, that's pretty much it. Like, you know, it's very rare that, like, the police are going to get involved from you being trolled, you know. I actually don't even think it's illegal to troll someone, which is weird to me, and I think it should be. Well, I don't know, that's a different discussion. But I think it's like, you know, at what point are you educating, and then at what point are you trolling, and, you know, what words are harmful and what words aren't. And it's like, you know, this whole thing with Sabrina Carpenter and Alix Earle, it's like, did what happened justify the reaction? And if it was just one person giving that reaction, would it be justifiable? but because it's like millions and millions of people online. And it's like, was each one of those people justified in the reaction? It was just the amassed amount of people that makes it seem like such an overreaction, because it's like, you know, if 1 million people are having the same reaction, it makes you feel more justified in your reaction. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it can't be nice to have, it's never nice to be told that you are wrong, or you're, I mean, not wrong. I don't mind being told I'm wrong. It's never nice, like, being told that you're, like, oppressive, or you're, like, setting women back thousands of years, or, you know, whatever she was being told about this album cover. Like, I really didn't even think it was that bad. Like, I don't know. I just don't think it's that deep. But I've seen a lot of conversations around, you know, people just using this whole, like, trad wife, like, divine feminine vibe as a way to just, like, slut shame women that are more open with their sexuality. Because one thing that Sabrina Carpenter is very open with is her sexuality, and she's consistently shamed for it, which is nothing new. And I think the main takeaway that I feel is that people are too involved in other people's creative outlets or creative choices. And I understand having an opinion on what someone can say or do or put out or create, or, you know, like, whatever it is. I understand that, like, completely. But I feel like I understand it's part and parcel that comes with being a celebrity, that, like, people are gonna talk about it. Like, that's literally the whole point of press, is that people talk about you. I get that. But, like, I think I just spend a lot of my time thinking, like, is it that deep? You know, like, I look at the album cover. Look up the album cover if you can. I don't know. Again, people are saying it's not the full album cover, and this is, again, what I was saying earlier about the passage of time, because what I know now, it might not be indicative of the whole fucking album cover. Like, I don't know, but it's like, to me, the art that someone chooses to promote or put out, whatever, is solely a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of the whole of womankind. It's not a reflection of, you know, their fucking, like, whole circle, whatever. It's just a reflection of them, where they're at that point in time. You know, like I was saying in my podcast when I was, like, 19, some of them are really bad, but, like, they're just a reflection of me at that time. And I also think as well, being a celebrity is being consistently held to who you were at certain points in time and being made to constantly relive it. Because, you know, like, take Ariana Grande as a case study here. She's consistently pigeonholed into certain, you know, I don't know what, like, eras of her career. And she's shamed heavily for changing, like, rapidly changing and having, you know, she's known for these huge persona changes, or, like, I think the reason that people speak out so much about her specifically is because of the dialect, specifically the dialect changes, and the, what would you call it, like, body language, I think is a big one. But I look at myself, and, like, I'm using myself because, as a case study, because I have, like, documented evidence that you guys can go back and listen to if you want to, like, cross-reference with this. If you listen to my older episodes, my voice is different, my way of speaking is different, the way I carry myself is different. But, you know, it's like, of course it's different. And I actually have a podcast that I made maybe, like, 2 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago, and it's called something like What to Do When People Refuse to Acknowledge You've Changed. And that's one of my favourite podcasts, I think. I think I cried in that podcast, actually. But it, to me, I get really frustrated when people hold me to something that I used to be, or something that I was at, like, a certain point of time. And because I change quite rapidly a lot as well. I change my philosophies, I change my belief systems, I change my fashion sense, I change my hair, like whatever it is, like I like to try new things and like evolve, and you know, I like to learn as well. And obviously like with learning things comes changes of me, and like, you know, my data that is input into me. It's like I kind of see the human body as a computer, you know, like you take stimulus in and it changes the infrastructure of the computer, maybe not the infrastructure, but it changes the brain of the computer, you know, so your likes and dislikes become different, and, you know, what you're interested in becomes different, and what you're looking for becomes different. And I'm telling you, like, my mannerisms now aren't the same as my mannerisms 2 years ago, and the social circles I have now are different to the ones that I had a few years ago. And because of the different social circles, I've picked up different mannerisms, and, you know, I use different slang around different people, and code switching is very real. And I think code switching is something that's really frowned upon. But specifically for people that have any kind of neurodivergence, like code switching is really a way to like feel like you're assimilating into a culture, which can be really hard for a lot of people, specifically, you know, Gen Z. In our generation, we're so disconnected from each other that code switching is actually a really helpful way for us to understand each other better, or feel like sense of connection to each other. And it's really disheartening when you see someone being consistently held to something that they were 5, 10, 15 years ago, whatever it is. And it's like, why do you care so much? Like, please leave them alone. Like, I think maybe a lot of it, and I don't mean this to come across as egoic in the slightest, but I think maybe because a lot of people don't live fulfilled lives, and a lot of people either like live in a state of lack, or live in a state of like, I don't know what the word would be, like, I don't know, I don't like really like using the word like abundance. Like, yeah, abundance is important, but like, you know, I think a lot of people are consistently striving for that, which means they've never really found it. So it's like, I think they're constantly looking at other people, and they're like, well, if you had everything before, why are you changing now? You know, it's like they look at like specific. I'm using Ariana Grande right here. Like, this is who I'm talking about. So I think a lot of people that are in this state of lack look at her and they're like, well, and also I'm not talking about her cheating rumors. Like, I do not condone any of that. I'm not coming on here being like, go be a homewrecker girl. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not the topic of this conversation. That is, again, a separate issue. Please do not conflate the two. But it's like, I think people look at like where she was and they're like, well, you had all this, why do you need to change? Or and it's like, I think these people that maybe are in a state of lack kind of just spend a lot of their time thinking about other people, because I'm going to be real with you. And like, a lot of people have said to me like, oh, you're selfish or you're arrogant or whatever. And it's like, no, I just genuinely spend a lot of time thinking about myself, because like, what else would I think about? Like, I think about myself, I think about my friends, I think about my job, I think about my family. What's the harm in that? You know, and it's like this whole thing of like, she loves herself so much. And it's like, thank you. Like, yes. Like, do you not? Like, you know, and I think the biggest sign to me that someone doesn't love themselves is that they will openly hate on others, you know? And like, I think there's also I would like to distinguish that there's a difference between opinion and hatred. Like, I can have an opinion that does not benefit a certain group of people. Like, I don't like EDL members. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like racists. I don't like fucking homophobes. Like, I don't like people that perpetuate like misogynistic stereotypes. I don't like that shit. I don't like things like that. But I don't hate that. Like, I don't have enough time in my day to spend hating that. It doesn't mean that I'm like submissive to it or like passive towards it or I don't care, or, you know, it's not something that I talk about in my social circles and, you know, wouldn't actively call out. Like, if I saw an act of a fucking hate crime, best believe, like, you know, I would be there in a heartbeat, like, calling that person out. But I don't, you know, see these videos and think, like, I'm going to comment some hate right now. Like, I don't know. I just think it's a bit silly. Like, I just think it's silly. Especially, like, I really think, like, the best ways to, I don't know what the word would be, like, be an activist is being an activist in your day-to-day life. Like, if you're going to hate on someone, hate on them in person. Like, otherwise, I just think that you're, like, kind of weak, like, low-key. Like, you know, it's like all this time that you spend calling people out online and, like, saying all this shit about, like, Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, you could be doing so much more with your time. Like, I understand that you think your point is really relevant, but, like, she's literally just an artist making an album cover. Okay, you think it's oppressive. People thought Britney Spears was oppressive. Now I'm sure you have a t-shirt with her face on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just same shit, different cycle. Like, post about the war, post about Palestine, post Gaza support links. Like, and if you're doing all those things, great. Why do you have the time to then, like, hate on people online? Like, oh, please, like, bore off. Like, I just wish we could all, like, transmute all the hate. This is such, like, I wish the world was full of sprinkles and cupcakes, but, like, I really just feel like in any instance, and, like, I've dealt with a lot of feelings of jealousy in my life. So I feel like I'm kind of qualified to speak on this, like, because I feel like jealousy and hate are incredibly similar emotions. Jealousy, hate, and love are so tightly linked in my head as emotions. And I think because energetically, to me, they are very similar, it's very easy to transmute them all. And, you know, I think jealousy is a trigger and hatred is a choice, you know? And I think one often can turn into the other. And I think love can be a trigger, but it can also be a choice. And I don't mean a trigger in a bad way. You can have positive triggers. Like, you know, if you constantly spend enough time with someone and you build a bond, like, you're triggering dopamine receptors constantly and oxytocin receptors, like, you know, you're triggering feelings of love. But you can also choose love. You can choose, and I don't mean love in the sense of, like, being in love with someone, like, choose love in a holistic sense, or, like, you know, what would the word be? Like, an objective sense, like, whole world love sense, you know? And because I think these three emotions are so tightly linked, you have the choice, you know? Like, in those moments where you feel, because, again, like, emotions are just energy centers. That's all it is. Like, they're just, maybe not energy centers, but they're energy passing through your body in different centers, like your chakras or whatever. And I think we have the choice to transmute how we feel about things. And when I used to feel really jealous, and I used to get really, really jealous about this one specific thing, when I was a lot younger, and I always remember being like, I don't actually know why I'm jealous apart from I feel something's being taken from me. And when I, like, did shadow work on it and whatever, like, this was, like, during COVID time, actually. I had a lot of spare time on my hands. And I remember the route that I came to was that I feel jealous because I feel something's going to be taken from me, because when I grew up, something was taken from me. And, like, as a child, that was not my responsibility to deal with. But as an adult, it's my responsibility to acknowledge that and, like, realize that I'm not in that same position. But because the situation feels the same, it's like inciting the same feeling. But that doesn't mean it's true, you know? So it's like you kind of have to realize, like, you may be feeling jealous, you may be feeling hateful. I don't really think, like, I think hatred quite often is more of an action rather than emotion. I think feeling hate, I don't know about that, but maybe that's just me. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of times hate is a secondary resource. It's like it comes from something else. It comes from fear, or it comes from anger. I would say, like, anger would be quite primarily the feeling that then transmutes into hate. And I think, you know, when I used to, like, be like, oh, I hate you. It's like, no, I was just jealous. But I'm never going to say that because it's embarrassing to be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm jealous of you. Like, because, you know, as a 16-year-old girl, that's the last thing you want to say is like, you're jealous of someone else. Like, God bless you ever give someone that power. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so like, as I've gone over the time and like dealing with feelings of jealousy and whatever, I've kind of tried to like transmute them, and like a way that I transmute a lot of my stuff is by talking about it. And I love talking about things. And that's why when I talk about things quite often, I'm quite emotional, but I'm not actually like, you know, I'm just like, to me, this way is a way of me transmuting any negative feelings I have into doing something I love. So I'm transmuting the jealousy and the hate into love, you know? Not love as in, like, love thy neighbour, but, like, you know, into something I love, something that's benefiting me. Like, in the long run, this will benefit me. When I'm 50 and I can listen to this, I'll be like, oh, funny girl, you know? Like, I won't look back on it and be like, have all these pent-up emotions that I still have to deal with and then have a midlife crisis at 50 because I didn't deal with my shit. Because I did deal with it. Even though, like, it upset some people and, like, some people don't like what I have to say, like, valid, like, that's fine. But when I'm 50... that won't matter, you know, because I'll have dealt with my shit. And I think this is, like, the point that I'm trying to make is these people that, like, feel the need to, like, leave hate comments on, like, Alix, Earle and Sabrina Carpenter's videos, you know, I think a lot of it is not constructive. They don't leave these comments constructively. They leave them hatefully. And I think maybe if we could all learn to do things more from a place of love than a place of hate, the world would be a better place. It's just a thought. I thought this was going to be a 5-minute episode and it's been 32 minutes, so I'm going to go. But thank you guys so much for listening. Love you guys. Bye.